Wait for it. Wait for it, and we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans, one stabby chaos coordinator, and one chief shenanigator geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, we're going to let our lovely guests introduce themselves. So without further ado, we're starting with our super reader, super fan, and friend of the show, Mr. Biggs, Big Water Outdoors. We're just going to call him Biggs because that's just cooler.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
Was that brevity is the soul of wit, but that was too brev. Okay.
So long walks on the beach, romantic candlelight dinners.
Close to the beach. I like to go kayak fishing, and I record myself while I do it and put it up on YouTube and Instagram.
Cool.
Nice.
I swear, when I was in college,
Southern California.
I had a near-death experience with a kayak in college. We had for the college I went to, you had to take an athletic course, and so one of mine I took actual kayaking because I got ocean water kayaking certified. But part of that is you had to flip your kayak over with you in it, get out, ride it, and get back in. And I thought I was going to die. So I'm one of people that do that on the regular.
Yeah, I've had one of those situations where fell out of the kayak and couldn't get back in, and it was December and the water was like 58 degrees, and I was in the water for like an hour.
I live in the South, so it wasn't that cold. But
this is why I avoid kayaks. I would never get in a boat that's designed to capsize. Never made sense to me.
You also have to do that if you do scouting with canoes as well. You got to be able to flip them, get in.
But we were in a nice warm lake in Kentucky.
Well, luckily for me, when I did the kayaking rollover drills, they called them, we were in a pool, an Olympic-sized pool.
So one time I completely destroyed my mom. We were out in the canoe, me and my best friend at Kentucky Lake at scout camp, and it was Parents' Day, and they were all there. And we decided to play submarine, which my brother had taught me, where you flip the canoe over and you're walking on the bottom of the lake, and you got that nice air pocket. My mom didn't know there was an air pocket there. I just can hear her screaming through the walls of the canoe. Oh my god! It was so
no. Yeah.
You probably thought it was hilarious. Your mother not so
I thought
much.
it was hilarious. I got my tail beat off later, but it was
bad man. You deserve that.
I was a bad kid. I really was.
All right. So saving you from yourself, we're going to let Miss Jenna S. Brown, who sometimes cosplays as Jenna Ray, introduce herself to our listeners and viewers at home.
Hi, guys. I am Jana S. Brown. I am the chief shenanigator around here. That's kind of like being the den mother. It means that I occasionally try to assert some kind of control, and then I give up and sit back and drink my soda and watch them go nuts because it's funnier that way. I do write under the pen names Jana S. Brown and Jenna Ray. You can find me writing science fiction, fantasy, urban fantasy, and whatever else the mind squirrels come up with. Ta-da! That's me.
There you go. And next we have the war mistress herself of War Master fame, Melissa McShane.
Hi, I am Melissa McShane, author of many, many different kinds of fantasy books, including the lit RPG series War Master. Thank you, JR. And I am coming to you from India, where it is a beautiful, warm morning. In our winter, it's been kind of a warm winter here. So, it's always warm, but winter means it's cool outside in the morning, and it's beautiful. So here I am.
Kind of like the South in that respect.
It is a little like the South. It's the humidity and the heat. It's a little hotter. We get more sun, but no changing of the seasons at all. So, yeah.
Okay. Speaking of, Jana was mentioning she was at a writers' convention, and the War Hamster anthology sold out. Last I heard, it was being worked on by Terry K. Job, friend of the show, for the audiobook. So that should come out from between now and the Heat Death of the Universe based on Amazon. You just need to know with their audio processing. So, that one gets surprising reactions. It was almost worth taking out all the four-letter words you made me take out.
It was worth it, JR. Think about the audience.
All right, next we have the one, the only, the voice in your head, Mr. Insanity himself, Michael LaVoice.
I'm sci-fi and fantasy author Michael LaVoice, a.k.a. LaVoice in your head. And I'm finna talk nerdy with y'all. I'm the author of the Galaxy's Most Wanted series, the Gladius League series, a plethora of short stories that have appeared in various anthologies from Bayonet Books, among other people. And I'm just here to talk about this movie.
He has opinions. We won't hold it against him. Maybe. We'll see. So we are civilized human beings here at the Blast and the Blades podcast. We are no longer knuckle dragging troglodytes. So coffee or tea, and what do you drink when you're watching amazing movies? Mr. Biggs.
I am a heathen. I like white monsters.
Okay. Does your heart feel like it's going to explode when you're done?
No. Not
He's
yet.
built up tolerance.
No, yeah. He's built up. Okay. Jana.
I tried the Rain energy drinks once because they're a little bit cheaper, and those ones made my heart beat faster because they have a lot more caffeine. So I stick to the monsters.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't Blackwater Coffee make an energy drink too for a while that was super caffeinated?
Yeah, that one had 300 milligrams of caffeine in it, and
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that one didn't feel very good either.
Wow.
But the white
Okay.
sugar-free monster has just enough that satisfies without making you feel funny.
There you go. All right, Jana, you're going to mix it up and tell me you're drinking something different today?
No, see, love language is Dr. Pepper. Actually, Dr. Pepper is my love language because we're recording this right before Valentine's, so this is all you need to know about me.
Mhm.
All right, that is good to know. So if you get in trouble with her and she gives you the mom look, you just give her Dr. Pepper and all is well.
And chocolate, yes.
And you're going to be listening to this 4 days after Valentine's Day, so we hope you had a good one. And with that, Melissa, what do you drink when you're watching a movie?
Oh, I drink Coca-Cola with lemon if I can get it when I'm watching a movie, especially if we're in the theater. Our local theater has one of those machines where you can, choose the different varieties and mix and match, and it's little buttons and stuff. And so if I can get Coke with lemon, I am a happy girl.
Nice. Michael?
I'm still on my new love, the Baja Blast Zero Mountain Dew. I've really taken to this. I enjoy it immensely.
Okay, so normally I suppose I'm supposed to say like coffee all the time because, Coffee Brand Coffee is a sponsor. But for movies, it really is generally a Coke. Although once I went to an old-timey movie theater that had been around in this small little town near where my sister lives for a really long time. And so they actually had like a soda shop-y kind of vibe, like the extra P and the E at the end.
Yeah,
and they got me because I didn't know that free refills don't always mean free refills when they're adding real vanilla extract to your vanilla Coke. So that was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
those
vanilla
little
Cokes are
small
good.
town cinemas are so cool. My wife and I, our last anniversary, we did in a little town in Arkansas because a friend let us stay at his lake house for the weekend, and so we went to see the Downton Abbey final movie because my wife's into that. And so I kind of had to be into it. Anyway, we went, and it was an old school theater that had been converted into a movie theater, and it had still all the Art Deco stuff on the walls. They had refurbished all of that. It was really cool.
They've got one. It's supposedly out in Kansas. I'm thinking there's supposedly at least one or two like actual drive-in movie theaters left.
Yeah, one in Memphis just closed down.
That might be the one I'm thinking about. I just know that there's at least one left.
And they had done some really cool stuff. Like over the summer, they would do like big feature things like, okay, we're going to show all the Star Wars movies in one night, and stuff like that. And so, people would go, but I guess it wasn't enough to keep it afloat.
Yeah. That's too bad. I'm very fond memories of drive-in movies.
And it's just always sad when you lose that touch with your history, right? Like
Yeah. My very first movie I went to as a kid was a drive-through. My dad loaded us all up in the station wagon. We went and saw Patrick Wayne as Sinbad, and
Nice.
Harry was doing the stop motion skeleton special effects. It was just very cool. Yeah,
very cool.
Okay, all right. So the next the question is I'm going to ask you. Before we get started is how you when you first saw Enemy Mine. So obviously we'll get into it in a little bit later, but Enemy Mines did come out in 1985. So some of you might or might not have been around in our listening audience, and some of you were, no judgment. But Melissa, where did you first watch this movie? Do you remember?
Okay, so my relationship with the movie came from the novelization, and I'm sure LaVoice has something to say about this too. But it was a novella that they developed into a movie, and then the original author with David Gerald wrote the novelization based on the movie. And I had never seen the movie until maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I had finally got a copy of the novelization, which I loved. Okay, as a teen, I loved what they did with it, and then I watched the movie and was a little surprised, and then I watched it again recently with my daughter, and so that's my relationship to the movie. I was it was long after its release. Unusually for most of these retro movie reviews, I had seen it either in the theaters originally or when I was quite young. So this is different for me. Anyway, that's how I came to know it.
What about you, Jana?
Was Ranger barking at you again?
Yeah. What about you, Jana? When did you first watch the movie?
So the first time I saw it was on cable television, because that was a thing way back in the dinosaurs age, where things would show and then they'd end up on cable. And it's a weird memory for me because I was so very, 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 very sick when I saw this. And you're doing the thing when you're tremendously sick, and so you're kind of just scrolling through random things on cable television. And so they have the scenes with furnaces and with fires and volcanoes and this, that, and the other. And it matched just how feverish I was. So my first memory of it is really disconnected and disjointed because
Fever
I felt
dream.
like I was dying. Well, it was this fever dream of a movie. And it was so weird. And to this day, I'll have these moments where I have a very visual thing that'll pop in my head, and it's all connected with being ever so sick. And it was only later, years later, that I went back and watched the movie and put it together coherently in the right order, because the story didn't make sense either because of what my brain scrambled it into, because it wasn't in the right order in that feverish state. And so it took me a long time to get in the right order and realize it actually was a movie that told a coherent story, because I just thought, oh my gosh, somebody was on as much of a trip as I am right now. And that is my first encountering of this movie.
Oh, wow.
Okay, what about you, Big?
The first time I watched this movie was 2 or 3 weeks ago when you guys said you guys were doing the retro movie review.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yay!
It had come out quite a few years before I was even an idea.
We won't hold it against you. Kids these days. LaVoice.
I was today years old when I saw this movie. Okay. Yes, it was on cable. It was on HBO back in the 80s when I was a kid, and I thought that looks cool. I should watch this. I started it one night, got interrupted, never went back to it. Don't know why. So today, I spent money to watch this movie on Amazon Prime. And that's how long? What's the runtime on this? Whatever it was, I ain't getting it back. And I'm upset.
Okay.
So I watched this movie. I was 4 when it came out, so I watched it on the reruns on daytime television, and I remember really, really liking it. I mean, it was sci-fi, it was aliens, it was cool, right? And it's got Dennis Quaid in it. He was a big thing back in the day, and I remember it was just a fun movie. And I will say that I literally finished it like an hour before we started recording. It hits differently when you've got kids than it did when you watched it as a kid or even as a young adult without kids, because those scenes resonate a little bit more, I think, on a deeper level, which is like, it's kind of cool because it can be watched on those levels, because we've added movie rating to the review process, and so this is only PG-13, so you could watch it with kids, but it's got layers that allow the adults to resonate with it at a deeper frequency, shall we say, if we want to go all hippy dippy with it, than the kids might, and it adds layers to it, which I was there for. So,
okay.
All right, because I don't want to get interrupted while we start chatting about the show, and I tell Michael how wrong he is about all of it, we're going to pause for a moment, and we're going to shamelessly shill for the man.
Across 1,000 battlefields and 1,000,000 wars, there is always a question. What do you do when all the chips are on the table? Do you run? Try to find salvation in the arms of an easy peace? Or do you stand and fight and send your enemies into whatever hole they crawled out of? On Deadly Ground, a heroic Last Stand anthology, has 10 stories addressing that question. Each character faces the impossible in different ways, but all will be tested before the day is done. Can they earn a heroic victory amongst the endless eternity of space, or are they doomed to fall into obscurity?
All right. Thank you for sticking with us through that commercial interlude. We greatly appreciate your patronage. And with that, we are going to go over the movie we're talking about today. So first, obviously, we're talking about the movie Enemy Mine. As I said earlier, it is rated PG-13. It is directed by Wolf. Yes?
No, you said PG before.
Oh, I thought I said
Originally
13.
it was PG. I think it has been retroactively labeled
Made
PG-13
PG-13.
because PG-13 didn't exist in 1985.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. So if I said PG, it's just because I misspoke. And so it's directed by Wolfgang Peterson with a budget of $29 million, a box office of $12.3 million, although it's become a little bit of a cult classic. So I wonder if they've earned back post box office. It is duration of 108 minutes that Michael LaVoice was privileged to get to spend watching this movie. It was released on December 20th, 1985 by 20th Century Fox. And it's based on, because we're going to tell you when it's based on a movie, what it's based on. It's based on the book Enemy Mine by Barry B. Longyear.
Well,
It's a novella.
Oh, it's a novella? Okay.
Yeah.
It is for the ad copy I found, because it's old enough, sometimes finding ad copy is hard enough. So I'm doing 2 sources for this. From IMDb, during a long space war, the lives of 2 wounded enemies become dependent on their ability to forgive and to trust, which I think does a good job. And the other primary tagline that was from ad copies, as per Grok doing a deep dive on the internet, because I was lazy, was enemies because they were taught to be, allies because they had to be, brothers because they dared to be. I like the tagline a little bit better. And I found sources where that was actually used at the time. So we're going to,
Cool.
What do you guys think of the ad copy? Did it sell you?
It's very short,
Yeah,
but it gets the point
I
across.
like it. Yeah.
I like the tagline.
I
Yeah,
find
Still would have
that-
been mad, but I like the tagline.
I find that a lot of the ad copy tagline stuff from like the older movies was a lot more concise than what we're getting now. Back then it was like a couple sentences at max, and now we're getting like whole paragraphs, sometimes more. I don't know why that changed, but I just noticed it.
You didn't have to play to the SEO machine at that point, and now you do, because every place that ad copy shows up, you're getting search engine optimization in order to have it come up in searches. And so they've expanded how much ad copy goes with everything, and you'll notice if you pay attention how many times vital search terms will show up in that ad copy, and the best written stuff makes that SEO very smoothly part of it, and the worst written stuff you go, oh, look, you're looking for SEO hits.
Oh, look, SEO salad. Yay.
Yeah.
There's a reason I pay people who are smarter than me to do that. So I'm going to smile and nod here. All right. So before we get started, we're going to play the trailer. There's a site that has started remastering vintage trailers.
Yeah.
And so we're going to play the trailer remastered in high definition and see if this would sell you on the movie.
Oh, dear.
Marooned on a desolate planet, he is a soldier, alone with his enemy.
You get it or don't you get the English, huh? I don't love you and you don't love me. We're stranded here, you understand?
His suspicion will change to tolerance.
You saved my life. Why? I need to look at another face, even as ugly as yours.
Tolerance will lead to friendship.
We should open up a little place here. I could ruin the food. You could scare away the customers.
And with that friendship will come an overwhelming responsibility.
You must be a parent. Don't get around, Jerry. You must take my place.
protecting a life he values more than his own. Dennis Quaid, Louis Gossett Jr., Wolfgang Petersen's Enemy Mine.
All right. So first, Biggs, did that sell you on the movie? Did it make you want to watch it if you hadn't seen that first?
Yeah, I would say it would sell me on it that I would go watch it. I feel like it kind of gives away a little too much to the plot. Like I like trailers that leave a little more not sure where the movie's going to go. But yeah, I would have watched it after seeing that trailer.
I wonder if that's a trend of older trailers. We haven't done enough retro movie reviews where I can say that that's a trend or not. I know it is with the ad copy, but what about
some movies did that, some trailers did, and some trailers didn't.
so there's no like
overarching.
overarching.
Yeah, I can remember very clearly. Like Young Guns was a very minimalist trailer. A couple of headshots of the better looking members of the cast and Young Guns. That was it. You were done and out of there. Yeah, this told a whole lot of story.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Like
but,
if they cut the trailer after the scene where it showed him shooting the laser and lighting the water on fire, and didn't tell us what happened after that, that part up into there would have sold me to go watch the movie. Like, oh, he's stuck on the planet with the enemy. What's going to happen?
Yeah,
like that would have been enough to sell it.
Even just the "you saved my life." Why? Because I need to see another face, even when as ugly as yours.
Yeah.
That would have been a good spot to cut it and give an outro.
Yeah. So what about you, Michael? Would it have made you?
I mean,
watch
the trailer itself is fine. The trailer basically talked about bits and pieces of the movie that I liked. It didn't talk about where the movie fell apart like two lepers hand wrestling in Act 3. So,
okay.
Tell us how you really feel, LaVoice.
For any members that are offended by this comment, send all their hate mail to Michael LaVoice. Links will be in the show notes.
Michael at michaellavoice.com. Bring it.
All right. Jana of the Knitting Clan, would this have made you want to watch the movie?
It's crocheting. Knitting is needles. Crocheting is a hook. I know we have to repeat this about every 6 weeks, but I will repeat it every time. No, I'm with the guys. It's just too long. You look at it and go, it's a little dated, some of the music and stuff, but for the time, it fit right in with what I would expect, and it would have pulled me into the movie. But I do feel like we get too much. There's a whole lot of twist in there that were not things that I expected when I did go into the movie, when it wasn't a fever dream the second time. That I wish they hadn't shown in the trailer, because it does give away, I think, too much of what happens in the relationship. And this isn't a romance, but it is a buddy romance. It's a buddy relationship movie.
It's a bromance.
So it's a romance. It's an enemies to lovers in a non-romantic way, a non-sexual way. And so giving away some of what happens there, I think, is not as strong as letting the story carry itself.
Kind of like Red Heat. That's also an enemies to bromance kind of a thing.
Okay. Melissa?
Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking there are some movies where the trailer tells everything about the story that you need to know, and then you get into the movie and you see, oh well, I already saw all of this in the trailer. So I think it's kind of a weird little problem to have, because they want to sell you on it, but they don't want to give too much away, but they're not always really sure what's going to sell you. I think they weren't brave enough to let it be just the friendship between the two.
Do you think they were scared? Maybe we don't talk about the kid, and then people show up and see the bit about the kid, and they get mad.
See, I think it's a little of both. I think that they get the thing about the kid, and either they're mad, or it's the other way around. They see the trailer, they know about the kid, and then they go in and it's like, well, that's what there is. And so I think they just thought, that the kid was like, well, we're really going to pull on your heartstrings. We're really going to sell it as, this is a really dramatic thing. And I think that was, I think it was kind of cowardly that they went that way.
Yeah.
I don't think they needed it.
Okay.
But overall, yeah, I would have gone to see the movie.
Because I would have gone, based on the trailer, if you had just cut it where I said to cut it, I would have gone and seen the movie and would not have been upset about the kid.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
Would not have been upset about the kid.
Yeah. It would have made me watch the movie, but before I'd seen the trailer, I'd seen the movie and then re-seen it because obviously I found the trailer when I was doing the show prep. So, yeah, I mean, I think it did its job. I agree with you that they could have cut more. There is a danger with trailers where you show all the good parts and then you kind of take away the reason to watch the movie.
It is done so often, especially with comedies.
Or you show the only good parts and then like there's nothing else good in the movie and you get there and you're
good. Yeah.
Garbage.
Okay, why did I? Yeah, this is terrible. Yeah.
And so like I thought it did its job. I agree with you that they could have cut it in some places. I don't know in the 80s if they were as worried about the kids. I mean, they killed Bambi's mom and had no problem with that.
Yeah.
They killed old Geller.
But that was the 60s. I mean, there was a big shift in sensibilities even from the 60s to the 80s.
I don't know when it came out, but like I read Bridge to Terror. Like a lot of the kid stuff, they were killing people left and right.
85 was still pretty. Yeah, it was fine.
I don't think this was billed as a kid's movie, though. Really.
No, but I think it's more like the idea of, I mean, we're used to the idea of aliens who are not physiologically like humans. Okay, so the concept of an alien who's hermaphroditic and produces their own child, that's not shocking to a science fiction audience. It might have been to a general audience, and they need to appeal to a bigger audience than just science fiction fans. So
but that's every science fiction movie. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but in this case, I mean, with the whole, this is a child. I wonder about that. To me, it's not shocking, and so I don't have any idea whether it would have been a turnoff or a surprise to audiences. I have no idea. I have no way of knowing. That's just supposition.
Okay.
I mean, it's not. Your logic is solid. So yeah.
Okay. So next, we're going to look at the movie poster that was out outside of movie theaters. And what did you guys think of the movie poster? I think it's fine. It's perfectly spaced.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, I like the juxtaposition of the faces, the title at the bottom. Taglines in the middle. That's great. What I'm giggling about is that they have touched up Louis Gossett Jr.'s lip to make him look more alien. Because the mask that he wore in the film, while impressive for a practical effect, was really bad around the mouth. and I love that they gave the kid prosthetic teeth to match the ones that the teeth were really interesting on these critters. I mean, kudos to whoever did the practical effects. I don't know who was in charge of that, but the prosthetics for the masks were very well done, except for the lips. But other than that, most of the practical effects in this were pretty decent. I had some real issues in the beginning. We'll talk about that when we start talking about the movie.
Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in on the poster, or are we good with it so we can start talking about it? Okay. And then just so you can see a little bit better, we're going to add this to the stage. So obviously this is Dennis Quaid, Willis, Will, Davidge, or Davidge, however they were saying it. And then Jerry, the alien Drax. So you can get a look at what they look like. You can see the effect that Michael was talking about with the lips a little bit. It's a pixelated image.
Yeah, he's got the little circles on the sides of his mouth. He had this way. I don't know if he was using his nose or how he was doing it, but they would pulse and puff like as if with breath. And that was a neat effect. I don't know how they achieved that.
Did you notice that the corners of the lips pulsed in time with the one on the side where his ears are, though?
No,
I
did
notice
not
that.
catch.
Oh, that's cool. Well, maybe they had like a bladder inside and it was like
being
manually operated. If it was in, I mean, that seems like pretty extreme synchronization if he was having to focus on that and his acting and speaking the way that the Drax did.
So that is the ad copy. So let's talk about the plot first, and then we'll get into the ads or the actual acting and the world building and all that, in the cinematography and such. So, what do you guys think of the overall plot of Enemy Mine?
Up until Act 3, it was cool.
Okay, elaborate so we can all hear how wrong you are.
Yes,
Get
for our
it out,
audience,
Mike.
tell us where Act 3 begins in the movie.
Okay, so
At what point?
Okay, basically, Act 3 in this film, we go all the way up to the point where he has the kid, and then Jerry dies.
Wait,
and-
spoiler alert.
Well,
Just,
oh,
for
please,
one
it
guy
came
who
out in
cares about this.
1985.
We have one guy who cares about this, so just so that you know, everything we're discussing from here on will have spoilers in it, and the statute of limitations is well past the spoilers from 85, but we have now said it. Don't come at me. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, I wasn't surprised at a lot of the things. I mean, it was pretty easy to see where the plot was going to a point. But then things started happening that had to happen because they had to have it happen. And the introduction of the scavengers was, for me, where things started to fray a little bit. I was just like, why? They've got a source of water, they've got shelter, they've got food. Why this need to suddenly do walkabout? And the whole exploration of the planet idea, where Willis goes off on his own, didn't make any sense until he ran across the scavengers. And I'm like, okay, that's going to come back later. But it just had to happen for that introduction, right? But then after he's raising the kid, the kid's having this identity crisis, and I was like, okay, now is probably where they're going to bring these scavengers back, and the kid's going to find out that his people are not well liked, and he's already in the middle of an identity crisis. I can see where this is going. The thing about me is, after the inevitable alien kid wanders off to see his own people bit, and then they seemingly kill Willis, here the film slides rapidly into unbelievably stupid territory. First, we have the fact that we have medical robots capable of performing surgery, but unable to tell a dead body from a live one, apparently. Wait, no, that's not first. First, there's the funeral lineup on the starbase. It started out without any explanation as to how he freaking got there. It just suddenly, he's a body on a computer.
No, they did show the search crew and the lighting on him, and then they focused on him. It was very clear a military search crew found the body.
Yeah,
I
maybe
didn't
that
see
was
that.
cut out of my version. I didn't
see that.
I did.
All
There's
of a sudden,
scene,
we switch from the planet to dudes on a conveyor belt.
there's
What
a transitional
actual-
scene where you see him laying out almost spread eagle like in position, and several searchlights are going over that area, and then they all center until they're all shining on one spot, and it's on his body.
Wow,
I
that is
remember
not
seeing
in the
that
version
scene.
I
That
saw.
is not in the version that I saw.
I watched the Amazon Prime version.
That's what
Oh,
I
wow.
watched. I rented it.
That's crazy.
Did not see that.
That is utterly crazy.
But you know what?
because-
I'll forgive the thing about the robots, considering how poorly AI in general functions in our world right now. Maybe that's not so hard to believe. But then they discover that he speaks Drac, and he is actually suspected of being an enemy, not just a sympathizer, mind you, a collaborator. It's very clearly said, we suspect he's working for the other side.
Mhm.
And he's reissued a uniform and allowed free run
Well,
of the
no.
station?
Hold on.
What?
They cover that when he's being confronted by the three people in his squadron. Said, we covered for you.
Yeah. The supposedly they were the ones who
He
spoke up for him
speaks
and
Drac.
put their
He's
reputations on the
suspected
line.
of being a sympathizer
Yeah.
/ collaborator, and they don't throw him in a cell and interrogate the dog snot out of him for the rest of his days. I don't care who covers for you. No military organization is not that. Yeah, they're all paranoid enough to do that. So then he steals a ship.
Well,
Which-
hold on.
and
We've got militaries
other
all over the world that fight people, and we have people in those militaries that speak the enemy language. We don't instantly say, what? We're fighting Germany?
No.
And you speak German?
He
Let's
wasn't
throw you in jail.
He wasn't an Indig translator. He's one of ours.
Okay,
He's
but
one
there's
of
the
ours.
idea that people would speak the enemy language isn't like so crazy. Clearly, the scavengers do it because they've got slaves that are Drax. So the idea
Okay,
that humans
okay,
speak the
but
language.
I'm sorry, I'm going to speak over you. But the point, because I agree with you, they should. My thought watching that part is, oh, they should be thrilled that they have a human who speaks Drac and can get involved in figuring out what's going on. And that's not where they went. So I think LaVoice's point is correct that they made these decisions that they really shouldn't have. If they were going, if they were going to assume that he was an enemy collaborator, they should have done something different, and they couldn't because the movie wouldn't support that. It would be too long if they did that.
And this is because they needed the Hollywood ending. So dude steals the fighter, lands on the planet, doesn't take any other weapons along, just going to take on the salvagers with sheer bravado. Man, plot armor's nice.
So
Finds the only other Drac on the crew that speaks English. That's convenient. Stalks around the ship after knocking a couple of dudes out who could literally wake up any second. Okay, no problem, I guess. Sees the kid, loses his mind, makes a lot of noise, gets captured because, of course, he does. And then gets the snot beat out of him for several minutes by Brian Stubbs, who was one of the greatest villains of 80s movies. I mean, he was in everything. He was in Blade Runner, Fifth Element. He was the voice of the Parasite in Superman, the animated series. He was in MIB, the animated series. He's been everywhere. But then this guy instantly recognizes the BTA man without the long hair and beard. And, oh, you killed my brother. Okay, I guess, Then the Flyboy's pals come looking for him. Well, okay, I guess they just wanted the Starfighter back. No, they were there to rescue him. Even though now he really, really looks like a traitor. Should have hauled him back to the starbase and tried his ass for treason. But aside from that, now we have potential Drac slave uprising. That's cool. More butt kicking for Willis from the dude. And then the Dracs show up and the hero is saved by someone else, which kind of violates the whole Cardinal Rule of adventure stories. The kid finally wakes up just at the right moment. Again, convenient. I guess at least he got to sing the kid's lineage in front of the Holy Council, but they didn't really talk about how he got there in the middle of a war because they never said the war was over. And this third act is just horrible. Now, let me tell you why it's horrible. Okay. This could be just me going off on a tear because I didn't like it. It's beyond that. No, it's not. Okay. Aside from the fact that it was very sloppily put together. The original novella, there's no salvagers, there's no slavery angle. In fact, there's so much in the original novella that shows all of these parallels between human and Drac society that shows us that we really, really are more alike than we are different. And so in the original story, there's this ship that keeps showing up around the same time every year and lands farther away from them than they can comfortably travel. So they start making plans. The next time it comes back, we're going to go find it and get rescued. And this is, Willis and the kid. And so they make this plan. They go on this trek and Willis breaks his leg and he gets left behind. The kid goes to continue on to find the ship and get some help. But Willis passes out. He wakes up in a medical facility. The war is over. Humans and Dracs are working together. Okay. He ends up back on Earth, out of the military, disillusioned. He's one of the few people that still speaks Drac, to your point earlier about languages. Not too many people still speak it. He works for a publisher translating, of all things, Westerns into Drac because Drac's got a thing for Westerns. But he still feels bad because the kid is missing. We don't know why the kid is missing. He's just missing. So he translates the holy book that Jerry gave him into English, sells it to the publisher, takes that bank, gets passage to the Drac homeworld, finds Jerry's dad, who thinks he's a scam artist at first, but then when he recites the lineage to his dad right there in his living room, he's like, okay, this guy's legit. They find the kid locked away in an insane asylum, being kept drugged and locked up because he was wandering around telling anybody who would sit still long enough to listen how much he loves humans. They want to keep it quiet. Remember, These guys have this huge thing about lineage. And it's just one parent down to one kid, one parent down to the next kid, and that parent down to the next kid. And if you get one bad apple, you can ruin an entire lineage. And this kid's obviously insane, and they're trying to keep it quiet to save Jerry's dad's lineage line. Well, Jerry's dad is like, no, you guys don't understand. They take the kid and they go back to the planet where they crash landed. And the kid, Samiz, has his own child. And that child is taken to the caves to be raised by uncle. And then the next kid is taken to the caves to be raised by uncle. And he gets to name them all. And that's how he gets into the lineage, because he is raising an entire couple of generations of these kids to be like not a hybrid, but to respect human and Drac society together at the same time. That could have been done. I would love to see this movie remade. I would love to see it remade and have that be the third act. Probably won't happen because they wanted the Hollywood ending, but I think it would have been a lot better to show how the society, how many families have you known that put somebody away or heard about that put somebody away because they were an embarrassment? How much does that speak to our own society, to our own human tendency to kind of sweep stuff under the rug and use power and influence to cover things up? We're so much like that. But nope, they wanted to go with the slaver angle because it's more action-packed. And I think they did the original work a disservice. It's just my opinion, I guess.
Before I take a point that I disagree with, we're going to give Mr. Biggs a chance to weigh in because he's been silent and he's a guest, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
So to give more reasoning to LaVoice's issue with the main character speaking Drax, the vibe that I was getting from the movie is the Drax were treated like the arachnids from Starship Troopers. Like, if you are speaking their language, like, they don't interact, so you should have no good reason for speaking their language. Like World War II, you could have come from German immigrants, so you would know German, but it sounded like to me these people didn't interact with each other, so there should be no reason why you speak their language. So he should have been interrogated for a long time to figure out why you speak Drax, not just a little bit, but fluently.
Mm-hmm.
So they did in the beginning when they're getting to know each other, they did say, well, I've never seen one, but we know this, and this about their culture. You don't know those things if you don't have some level of interaction.
True.
So the bug angle just doesn't work as a parallel. So yeah, I see what you're saying. I will say for Michael, for your point about and Melissa, what you said about the competent military from different angles for the same point, I would say making the military uber confident would have been the most Hollywood unrealistic thing you could have done, because by the time you get to be a general and senior officers, it's generally you're more politician than soldier. And so incompetence is the name of the game because it's all about who's getting kickbacks from whom. I mean, our history is rife with it. Just look at the Fat Leonard stuff from the Navy and the Army's had it. It's like, I don't want to get in political rants because that's just not the point. But the idea that, somehow the military is just uber confident or competent, like that to me is where I laugh. So like when people hear military grade, oh, that means good. I hear that means the frat paid by the lowest bidder.
Okay.
No veteran thinks that.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
So,
that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
So for me,
yeah, I do know. I get that part, that everybody in the military is generally allowed to rise to their own level of incompetence. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they also err on the side of paranoia far more often than they don't.
Yeah, but if he's a decorated war hero, I mean, we watched him in that one fight alone. Clearly, he's competent. Single-handedly, he took out 2 fighters. The third would be the one that he downed when he downed himself. So carrying that forward, if he's a fighter ace, that has some level, if you look at just Air Force as a parallel, that has some level of prestige with it that might give you bargaining room that the average Joe doesn't have, which you factor that in.
Only if they needed a hero for the war effort.
Well, I don't know. I think for me, I mean, I'm not a military person, so so that's whatever it is. But for me, they lampshaded it well enough. I mean, there were a lot of questions I had going into it, especially the thing about why didn't they just, if they said that they thought he was a collaborator, why didn't they treat him like a collaborator? But I figured, okay, his friends went to bat for him. All right, I'll accept that. It's okay. It covers it enough because that wasn't an important. That wasn't the point of the story. That was just let's get him back into action. So I was okay with that, as covering their bases. I figured that's sufficient.
And they never really showed the passage of time, so we don't know how long from when he was revived to when he's getting on that fighter either. For point of reference,
that's true.
I will say to your point, Michael, about him knocking the guards out. Having been taught to take out sentries like that, in my head, I don't go to, he just knocked them out, they could wake up. In my head, he's doing a central nervous system kill, and it's quick, silent, and deadly, and they're just out. And if you remember, he had a K-bar that's totally not a K-bar earlier when he was fighting as part of his pilot kit, because remember, he almost killed Jerry.
But he didn't stab them. He knocked him out with a rifle.
Then he dragged him off to the side off screen. We don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So
again, covering it enough.
You gave enough plausible doubt that someone from a military background, I'm like, okay, stabs them. But, I don't know, just because I was only 4 when this came out, like, I don't know how much they would be allowed to show. Nowadays, you'd see him just, cut the guy's neck.
But also, he's a pilot. He's a pilot. He's not a soldier.
Okay, but pilots go through.
He's trained in escape and evasion after he crashes, but that's about it.
Okay, but part of escape and evasion does involve some level of taking out sentries to get away. He's not Rambo, but they have some level of skill. And we're not talking like he's fighting hardened soldiers. He's fighting, thugs with guns who are, abusing already beaten people. So I don't have a problem with that. He took them off to the side as he dragged the bodies away and killed them. He tied them up, whatever. Like, to me, that's nitpicking just to be nitpicky.
Yeah, and I think that kind of, I think LaVoice's bigger point about diverting the story to have a more Hollywood action-packed ending is kind of more important, because all of that is just little details about how he did it. Because I don't know. I'm pretty sure they could not have made the novella into a movie in the 80s. And I like to think that Barry Longyear was upset about what they did to the novella, because the screenwriter is a completely different person. Completely different person, have no idea what relationship the screenwriter had to the material. But he wrote the novelization. He got to take back his story, and I'll tell you, he did with the source material, the movie.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, he did with the source material something really beautiful, because in the movie, they just kind of cut from, okay, he's rescued Samus and everything is great, to the scene with the horrible voiceover about, and so Davidge managed to do this, and he was written into the line. And it's like, I know why you're doing this, because you have to telescope it. All the details that lead to this are just, you couldn't show this. But in the book, you get the close-up on him actually doing the singing and being surrounded by the Dracs, and it's beautiful. I mean, this is what brought me back to that book over and over again, because he did something really magnificent with it. So I like to think that he was able to rescue what he wrote from what happened with the movie. And I'm not, opposed to it the way LaVoice is. I was surprised when I saw it, because I was expecting something more like what I remembered from the novelization. And I was a collector of novelizations in the 80s. It was something I really enjoyed, was getting the novelization and comparing it to the book. So not the novels from which the movie was made, but the novels that were written based on the movie, just to be clear. And that was something that I collected. And so I was surprised at how, I don't want to say gritty, because it was gritty, but it was like it lost some of the magic that I remembered from what the novelization achieved. So that was a surprise to me. But I don't think that it comes back to, how much do we criticize a movie based on the source material that it deviated from? Is that really a problem? Is that something, because I had never read the novella. I still haven't read the novella. I'm pretty sure most of the people who saw the movie didn't see the novella, didn't read the novella.
But again, remember, I was critical of the third act before I read the novella.
Okay, so before we go too far, hold on, Michael.
Yeah. Anyway,
I found, so Barry Longyear is the original author of the Hugo Award and Nebula, so he won both for Enemy Mine. His story was published in '79 as a novella. He was not a fan of the 1985 film adaptation directed by, Wolfgang and starring Quaid and Gossett Jr. He expressed dissatisfaction with how the movie deviated from his story, particularly with the added elements like the space mines and the slave trader subplot, which stemmed from an executive's literal interpretation of the term enemy mine, demanding actual mines. Longyear viewed the film as no longer his version, though he appreciated aspects like the financial benefits and the experience from the adaptation process, and various accounts, including discussions around his work in obituaries following his passing last year. That's 2025, depending on when you're listening. It's noted that he was prone to describe himself as the author of Enemy Mine, which there was an attempted to make into a movie. Underscoring his ride distance from the final product. That's low-key savage. He was not a huge fan overall.
I like this guy a lot more now.
Readers and fans often contrast the two, with many preferring the novella's main, more focused philosophical take on prejudice, survival, and cultural understanding, inspired partly by conflicts like the Israeli-Palestinian war, over the film's more action-oriented, sentimental Hollywood approach. And as such, the controversy caused the movie to bomb in the box office. So that was a deep dive by GPT. So I did a quick search, and of course, if you use that for deep dive, it will cite the sources it's using for the interpretations. For something as non-academically rigorous as this, I will let it stand at that. But he apparently was displeased. I will say that I'm kind of torn on the face part, LaVoice, where they recognize them, because I've seen people with and without beards, and like I can still tell it's them. But I've also seen the videos where like family members react when Daddy shaves his beard for the first time in forever.
Your own mother didn't recognize you at graduation.
I gained 3 inches. Pounds. I gained 3 inches and gained 100 pounds. He shaved some hair.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Like nothing
You're
else.
Reinforcing my argument here, pal.
No. I had substantial physical structural change to my physique. He lost facial hair. There's a difference.
And long hair, and he gained back some weight.
Well, he didn't look like he was any thinner or heavier to me when I watched it.
Okay.
I mean, you might be right, but he didn't look like he changed in that respect. So all he was more clean.
Okay, Doc, if you say so.
So I will say that obviously not everyone is a huge fan. I get what you're saying. The ending felt a little rushed. It almost felt like it needed to be, another half hour to cover that out.
Couldn't have hurt.
I think you're right. From when he rescued him up until that point, I was good. From suddenly he's on the homeworld, I felt like that was a little bit of a jump, and they didn't really cover that. They could have ended it very Hollywood by just saying, okay, let's figure out how to get you home to your planet or something like that, and left it so the intent was there without figuring out how they did it, so you can kind of work it out on your own. That would have been, I think, a little bit better place to end it, more than the monologue at the end. But overall, I really liked it. Did anybody else have non-controversial thoughts?
Okay, I will mention something. You also have to look at the timing of when they released this thing. It's a 20th Century Fox production that came out on December 20th. This is their Christmas blockbuster. And so they're going to lean into action adventure. And it's in a year where, I just looked it up. Go, little screen. In that same time period, Rocky IV came out on the 27th. Then they had Spies Like Us, Chorus Line, Clue, Jewel of the Nile, Enemy Mine, The Color Purple, 101 Dalmatians re-release, Out of Africa, and Murphy's Romance. Not all of those are great titles, but
what a slate of great film, man!
And a bunch of them made a whole lot of money. And so, just depending on how much they knew about when their release was going to be happening, there was probably some of that was also part of their movie-making decision. Because when you release a big summer blockbuster or you release over the holidays, you are hoping for really big numbers because people go to see movies. Right. And the fact that they did this when they did, I suspect that's part of, they looked at what did 1985 expect science fiction to be? And we did not expect really thoughtful science fiction at that point, going through all those things you talked about, LaVoice. We expected action, adventure, all that kind of thing. So they leaned towards the Hollywood blockbuster, I think, as much as anything, because this was their science fiction December Christmas release. So interesting decisions that were probably made in the boardroom based on release schedule. Because that was a packed year. And to pull any share of that market, when you start with Rocky and then you work your way through that, and That's a
Mhm.
lot.
So one of the
I
things that
enjoyed it. It was fine. It didn't bother me nearly as much. But again, the first time I saw it, it was a fever dream. So the second time
Mm.
probably made a lot more sense from there.
I
Mhm.
will say, as far as the alien planet went, they did a great job of making the alien planet feel alien. So I really thought the cinematography and the way they portrayed the set did a good job.
Mhm.
It looks like Michael's rolling his eyes, so he probably has negative thoughts.
I mean, the planet was cute and all, but here we are again with there's an awful lot of convenience packed into that planet, and then an awful lot of similarities between it and Earth. Oh, we have to have winter. Oh, we have to have wood for them to burn. There has to be liquid water. Okay, so it was in the Goldilocks zone. I get that. But in the same time, it's like, oh, it's got an axial tilt, so it has winter just like Earth. But the sky's not blue during the day. That's weird. But it's got a breathable atmosphere, kind of like ours. I don't know. It just some, and
You were
it did
thinking
look
like
kind
an
of chintzy to
author
me.
and not a cheesy moviegoer.
Mm-hmm.
All
And
those questions you would answer as a science fiction author.
Those
They
those are all code.
Those are all exactly the right things that a science fiction
Don't say
author is
code.
going to
I
think
can't
of.
stand that. That's
For
as
a
bad as
whole lot
dog
of
whistle.
those things,
All right, sorry.
they're looking and going, a general audience who were trying to get to come out to science fiction, which was kind of seeing a resurgence during the 80s. We got a lot of great, even cheesy science fiction flicks. They didn't expect the average viewer to care. They wanted the wonder of it. Of course, we have to have winter because that's relatable. Of course, we need to
so,
have some of these things because it's relatable. They're not thinking like a science fiction author would.
and the minute you have alien creatures that rise to the level of technological prominence without opposable thumbs, you've already entered the field of space magic-y anyway. So you just have to wave your suspension.
And this is why their spaceships fly like they're in atmosphere.
Well, everything.
Yeah.
You
Well,
did.
that was in the 80s. Oh my gosh, that was just the thing. That's what I meant by code. I meant it was coded for like audiences. It was like this is what they expect of science fiction. And again, the general audience that they have to appeal to.
It
So
just
that-
seems to me
doesn't
it's
bother
just
me as
sad that
much.
we had to wait until after the year 2000 for a science fiction program to actually get space combat right.
Well,
And
you
that-
got to
and that
remember
was
the
the
limitations
chance.
of their technology. All right, it's not like they can use AI and computer
Well,
animation.
no, it's you don't even have to do that. You can use models on wires and get the same effect of going on inertia and then making a turn with thrusters. I mean, that's
Okay,
not
but
even
that
the
was
point.
our generation finally growing up and being able to make movies. You know, we were the ones who saw that and said, "This is stupid. They don't fly like this. They're not in atmosphere." And then we get old enough to be able to make these movies. And so I think that's the turning point.
Mhm.
I mean, I
Okay.
haven't done a look at it, but so I'm guessing. Again, I am guessing. But it feels like to me there was a change in
So
movie
a lot of
making
it, a
at
lot
that
of it
point.
was they coded everything to be World War II in space, because in World War II the world was unified on your nationalism. By the time the 80s rolled around, we just came out of Vietnam. Everybody hated everyone. Everyone hated the government. And so if you use that as the model of what we're going to do, it's divisive to start with, and it's in living memory from everyone who did the thing over there, right? Making World War II allows you to hit the nostalgia spot, which is the same reason Star Wars did it. So you have to judge the movie by when it was made and the cultural zeitgeist that made it. And you're not doing that, LaVoice. You're judging that movie by 2026.
No, I'm not. Sloppy writing is sloppy writing. I told you the third act pissed me off before I went and looked at the novella. The special effects and everything I was willing to let go because I know it was made in 1985. But
Okay.
sloppy writing is sloppy writing. The hash stitched together Frankenstein monster of a third act still pissed me off. Sorry.
Okay.
It's interesting. I thought you read the novella before you saw the movie. That's interesting.
No. I went and found it
Cool.
and read
Cool.
it after, because I to myself I thought the source material cannot be this lame. There's no way in hell it could be this lame, and it wasn't.
Okay. Well, I thought the alien planet did a good job of giving the visual cues that this isn't Earth anymore. You're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. And it did a good job within the limits of the technology of the time to create those effects, because everything
I
in that
agree.
is practical effects. To the point where part costuming, what we mentioned, let me throw that back up, with Lou Gossett Jr.'s alien costuming, how he used his body language to show not quite human, How
Lewis did a great job.
the
He's
weird
fantastic.
with his body, the weird movements,
Yeah, his
noises.
movements, yeah, all the vocal inflections, all of that was great. I didn't
So
have a
I
problem
thought-
with Lewis's performance at all.
So I thought they did a good job of the world building with the way the alien creature was showed in a way that actually felt alien at a time where, you know, Star Trek was the alien forehead of the week. And this actually felt alien. So in comparison,
Yeah.
But Biggs, Michael and I are very opinionated, clearly, and we were going at it, so we wanted you to weigh in.
Probably looking at this too much from like 2026, but like the only part that I thought was a little too much to believe was when they crash landed on the planet, and Dennis Quaid's character gets over to Jerry's ship and he grabs the green goo ball. Is him actually be able to eat that and not kill him? Because like, cool, you landed on a planet, it's got good atmosphere or whatever, but like, what are the odds that
You weren't bothered by the fact that he took his helmet off before he got out of the spaceship?
No, it was already
that
cracked.
you could at least eat it,
It was cracked.
and not get sick in some way? Like, if you go to like a different culture and eat their food, like there's a chance you get a food bug from that, and you're on the same planet. So like, the alien food not getting them sick, that was a little like, okay, that's a little much, but I enjoyed the movie. Go ahead, Jerry.
No, Nick, LaVoice. If you watch the scene, his helmet was already cracked so good. His helmet was just a paperweight at that point.
Yeah.
So,
but I enjoyed the movie.
So
I do think that third act was a little rushed, going from they got him on, or they rescued him, and then they appear on the planet. I think they could have done that better. And the only other part that I didn't like was he found the kid and then started making a bunch of noise to get captured. Like, he made it this far, like he couldn't stay quiet for a couple more minutes and get out.
well, that's the thing. You got a point where he found the kid. First, I thought those green balls might be the eggs because I knew going in that he was going to have the kid.
Ew, ew.
I didn't need that.
But
mental
Jerry
image.
was eating those before.
Was he? I missed that. Okay.
Yeah. He was eating them. So
he had a tray of them, and he was
Okay. So one of the things you mentioned about getting the kid out, and this did bug me. I don't know if you caught it. The thing that was holding the kid, I can't remember how it's Zay or however you say his name. Samus. That was a Phillips head screwdriver.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was like,
big.
"Oh, you just need a really big screwdriver, dude. You're never getting that thing pried open."
Like just unscrew it. Like, what's the problem? You know? And if they locked him in, clearly there's going to be something nearby to open it because, you know, from practical purposes. And he didn't do that. He just kind of went all emo on it. And so, that one. But I've also seen people act emo and irrational in situations. So I'm willing to accept that sometimes human beings just act dumb.
Yeah.
And then he gets that adrenaline rush with all the parental urges kick in, and he just rips that Phillips head screw right out of the floor.
Yeah,
I can see that. It's like a mom lifting a car.
Yeah.
So
I'm not kidding. I can go.
No, you're right. So, all right, but what else did you have thoughts on the movie, Biggs?
I thought it was definitely entertaining. Like, I'd probably watch it again, maybe give it some time to breathe before I watched it again. But it hit that like old school sci-fi that you don't get anymore. Like, what was the movie? Like The Last Starfighter. Like, it has that like old school feel to it that we don't get that anymore. It's like my dad, he used to love watching like the old creature features, Creature of the Black Lagoon. We don't get those kinds of movies anymore. So definitely, and I loved watching those movies growing up. So getting to go back and watch this movie definitely fit that niche.
We got another Mummy movie coming though, so that's going to be awesome.
Nostalgia.
Oh yeah, that'll be interesting.
New movies that would come out would take what they did back then and just re-update like the graphics, but still tell the same story. Don't try rewriting it. Just, hey, let's refilm it shot for shot with the new effects and not do everything in CG. Like, just do it with better practical effects.
Yeah, I call that Prisoner of Zenda syndrome. You had the original Prisoner of Zenda, which was in black and white, which was very well done. And then when they got color, they just got a new cast and reshot the movie the exact same way, shot for shot remake in color.
Why not
So
do the
Of course, they didn't
Technicolor
colorize
effect?
it. Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's true.
So
Can we talk about the soundtrack real quick?
sure.
The very 80s soundtrack.
Very much.
And it's like, it reminds me of Lady Hawk in that respect, because Lady Hawk is a great movie that has a very 80s soundtrack, and
With
people are
fewer
always talking about, oh, we should
synthesizers, but
refilm
yeah.
this. Yeah, we should refilm this. I'm like, no, just give it a new soundtrack and people will love it.
I think
that's all
Lady
the
Hawk would
updating
be
it
well
needs.
done if you got a real orchestrated soundtrack to go.
Oh yeah, that would be
that would be
fantastic.
fantastic, because
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't
love
need to
that.
be redone, reshot, or rewritten at all.
No, I agree. So Enemy Mine, the soundtrack was just, I mean, that was really the thing that pulled me out of it. There were moments where I'm like, I'm not sure about this, but the soundtrack overall, I just it just didn't feel right. That was what felt dated. Everything else, I can excuse the effects because, they did a great job for 1985. That was what they did, and it was top of the line then. But yeah, the soundtrack, and they didn't need to, because they put so much effort into making it look and feel alien, and then they threw an 80s soundtrack on top of it. And not all 80s science fiction and fantasy movies have that problem. So I'm not inclined to give them a pass on that one.
I guess they couldn't afford John Williams. So.
Yeah, well, probably not.
So because we have only got a half hour left ish, I want to try to keep the movie review shorter than the movie. That's our goal. Any problems with the cinematography? I didn't think they did anything too crazy. I thought that was pretty standard movie stuff. I didn't really have a problem with it. Everybody good? Anything stand out?
No,
Not really.
I
Just there were a few things about the shots of the planet that I liked. I liked the turtle, the turtle, the hell turtle. So
Yeah.
I started calling him the hell turtle.
It's so
And
cute.
those were cool. I really thought that once the pit monster came out of the pit, it was way scarier. I did appreciate that critter. Thought it was awfully convenient that their home got destroyed just in time for him to have the kid, but okay.
The heat attracted it in the winter.
Yeah, no, the tree fell on it. Remember?
Yeah.
No. The heat attracted the monster, and then the heat.
The heat. Oh, is that what you said? Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
New headphones.
Mhm.
You're a little garbled.
No, it's okay. So I thought that was good. The only thing that really stood out was the way they showed the fighting scene, the firefight, with the two space fighters, the jockeying back and forth between Dennis Quaid, Willis, and his co-pilot. Although, to be honest, because of the way they shot it, I thought his co-pilot was a woman until he pulled his helmet off later.
Yeah, me too. Because one of the others was a woman. So yeah, I agree. That's what I thought too.
And I did want to know what happened to the big lady that the co-pilot wanted to hear about. Like, I'm like, whatever
They
happened to
never
her?
addressed that. What happened?
They never
to her?
did. Oh.
Okay, so that's the cinematography. World building, we kind of covered it a little bit. Any added thoughts we want to cover with how they built that universe? I thought they did a pretty good job of creating the lore to include some of what was in what Michael said was in the novella, in that the similarities between what the Drax believed from their religious.
I really enjoyed the philosophical comparisons where I think my favorite line in that whole section where they were talking about Mickey Mouse and the
I laughed so hard when he said
it was cool. But my favorite thing was when Jerry he's not surprised at all that Willis recognizes the truth in the words of his race's greatest philosopher, and he just shrugs and goes, truth is truth. Like there are universal things that we all recognize. And I thought that was really cool to have said, and I really appreciated that part.
I liked that scene too. And then when he said, "Where'd you get that from Mickey Mouse?" which was reminiscent of "Where'd you learn to shoot like that?" 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And so when they're getting mad and they're fighting, and he insults the Drax philosopher, and the other guy responds by insulting Mickey Mouse, and Willis has to leave because he's laughing. It's like, he has to leave because it was funny.
Then the apology later though is so sincere. I'm sorry. Insulting Mickey Mouse was wrong. And Dennis never did get around to telling him that it's just a cartoon character, dude.
Yeah. Never ruined
Okay.
his illusions.
Right.
All right. So before we give our overall thoughts, any thoughts on the characters themselves? Which really there were only two. It was Jerry and Willis. But did you have any thoughts on the characters? We're gonna let Biggs go first.
Okay.
I definitely like their banter back and forth where like they're insulting each other and whatnot with like the Mickey Mouse and all that. I thought that was done really good, and it actually made me sad when Jerry dies. Like, no, we're not going to get any more of that.
Yeah.
That buddy comedy banter, like that was really cool. I wasn't expecting that in a sci-fi movie to have like that level of comedy banter in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was really well done as well. I did enjoy that. Speaking of back to what LaVoice mentioned earlier with the language, and Melissa brought it up. Did anybody else when they first when Willis is first captured, I couldn't tell if they were just kind of guessing meanings or if there was some level where like he understood some of the words and vice versa, like maybe some of the language was understood.
To me, it seemed like that Jerry had already studied a little English, maybe to understand his enemy more. Because when he was speaking, he used a few English words here
like
and
human
there.
and earth something.
Yeah, he called him Earthman, and that was clearly English. And then there were some other Drax language words mixed in with it, and it just seemed to me that Drax had a better handle. The Drac had a better handle on English than Willis did on Drax.
But Willis seemed to understand some of it too. So I don't know how much of that is, trying to make the captor like him, which is a viable interpretation, or he knew some as well.
Or it could have been just a shortcut to get through all the time it takes to learn each other's language.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been a plot shortcut. Because at some point in time, they have to know the language enough if they've got the scavengers in this movie version of the world taking the Drax prisoners to make them laborers. You have to communicate at some level.
I tell you though, as far as characters, I really appreciated what's the kid's name again?
Samus.
I really appreciated his identity struggle with knowing that he's different and wanting to look more like his uncle, but also still being curious about his own people. That was very real. That was very real. If you've ever hung out with people from a mixed family, like a mixed race family, that's a very real thing. I had two best friends growing up. One was black and the other was from a mixed couple, black-white parents. And he was constantly torn between those two worlds. And so that was really cool to see in an alien human relationship because, he called him uncle, but it really was his father. He raised him, but he was also always very clear about the differences. And I thought that was a cool dynamic to throw into it.
Yeah. And there's a moment where Zamas asked him something like about his father. He wants to know about his father, and you can see Dabbage thinking about it, and he finally says, "He was my friend." And it sort of summed up everything that he couldn't say about that relationship. That I really liked that moment. I loved the characters. The actors were amazing. They did great performances. I think this is one of my favorite Dennis Quaid roles, just because I have mixed emotions about how the movie connects to the written material and stuff like that. But I loved seeing him do something that was more serious when I knew him more as a comic actor. This was just really remarkable to me for his acting performance.
Okay.
I think the first movie I saw him in was The Right Stuff. So.
Oh, well, okay. That makes a difference. Yeah. I saw him in Inner Space. So
yeah, I saw that after I saw The Right Stuff.
This is I think Inner Space was the first one. And then Undercover Blues is a family favorite for us. Of course, that was after this movie, but
I've never even heard of that. So
it's
great.
it's so much fun. So anyway, but not the subject of this podcast. So,
Jana, did you have any thoughts on the characters?
I just like that I am convinced that they really hated each other in the beginning and that there was an emotional arc that made sense. Because this is one that I've been discussing with some of the romance groups, is that we've been looking at enemies to lovers tropes and going, if they really hated each other that much, why would she not stab him in the face the first time she sees him instead of going, oh, look, what a lovely jawline, I think I'm in love. And so
Mhm.
often when we go from enemies to buddies, enemies to lovers, whatever, it goes so fast where they go, oh yeah, I hate them, I hate them, I hate them, but then I don't really, really fast. And because most of this movie, the first 2 acts are really focused on that relationship, it takes the time that it needs to breathe reality into that. That, why did you save me? Because, I probably would have let you drop. And then it's, well, okay, I need another face to look at. I don't like you still. I need a face, even if it's ugly.
To
And you
your
can see
point,
it
yeah,
changes slowly
yeah.
to where you go, this is a believable arc because they really and truly do want to kill each other at first. There's a
And
whole lot of
that
hunting
confused
each
me at
other and
first, though.
why
I
is that?
wondered why, after he set the water on fire, that Jerry just didn't kill him right then. But no, he
Mhm.
ties him up. That didn't make
Yep.
sense to me. But then I thought, well, it'll be a really short movie, so I'll just let that go.
Well, in addition to that, like there is, if you think you're going to be rescued soon, prisoners have intelligence value.
Hadn't thought
Yeah,
about that.
I figured that it made sense to me, but I did like that we have that emotional value there because they took the time for it. And so the characters work really well that you can see believably why they come through this. The things that they share that make them into brothers are the kinds of things that you go, oh yeah, that's what family is built on. It is the dumb moments. It is the your face sucks and your thing sucks, but at the same time, I don't really want to be without you. So I like it's a believable arc instead of going, yeah, why are they suddenly friends that quickly? Because we get that a lot in movie and book shorthand, where it's like, well, we've got to get them to the point that the relationship works. So I hate you, but now I don't, and this took the time for it. So I like that. I think it all works together. I'm sad when we lose Jerry. I'm a little bit traumatized. Anybody who has gone through a pregnancy and that happens, and you go, "Yep, I'm a little traumatized." Thanks. I was re-traumatized when I watched it and went, "Yep, that's a reality. It's a painful, tough reality to know that sometimes you don't make it through the pregnancy." And so that was, and it was given enough gravitas that it wasn't played for this is going to be easy or any of those kinds of things. So it worked for me. The characters work.
All right. So, lastly, we're going to start with Biggs again. Overall thoughts on the movie?
Overall thoughts on the movie, if I had to score it out of 10, I think I would give it like a 7. It was
Okay.
definitely enjoyable. I haven't seen the novella, or can't say seen the novella. I haven't read it yet, so I can't get LaVoice level pissed off at it yet. But I'm sure if I had read it, I would be there because there are books that I have read and then seen the movies, and I'm like, what happened? Or in most recent case, I've seen the movies, then read the book, and the book is completely different, and the movie was actually better. And that would be
It does go
Jaws.
both ways. You're right.
It does.
The movie
It's
Jaws
true.
is way better than the book.
So much better.
Oh my gosh.
But
Send the
I
hate
would
mail
give it I would give it a solid 7 out of 10, and definitely add it to the rewatch list of I need a good sci-fi movie. Pop it on.
All right. LaVoice. Now, keep in mind, we don't have room for another 40-minute monologue.
No.
Overall
I said my piece. If I had to score it out of 10, I'd probably give it a 4.5. The first 2 acts, I was fine with, despite some of the other things that I said. But the third act just did it for me. And like I said, I didn't check the novella out until after I saw the film.
Okay.
And then I really got upset.
Deanna?
I liked it. I liked it better when it was not a fever dream. Is it the thing that I want to watch every weekend? No, it's not going to be a family favorite, but it's something to revisit every now and again. I'd go with it. It's probably like Biggs. I'm probably in that 7-ish range. Not amazing, but also not nearly as bad as some of the stuff that came out of the 80s at that point.
Yeah, there's no
like
big
Battle
hair in
Beyond
this
the
one.
Stars.
Yes.
All right. Melissa,
Move along.
overall thoughts?
I still like it. This is one of the situations where my experience with reading is tangled up with my experience with viewing, and I go back and forth. I did not dislike it as much as I thought I would when I came to it after really loving the novelization. It was still satisfying in a way, and there were a lot of things that I had to kind of squint at but that did not really destroy my enjoyment of the movie. I watched it with my daughter, and she liked it just fine. I think if I were comparing it to some of the great science fiction films of the 80s, then it would come off worse. But as its own thing, I do still kind of like it. I think I would land on a 7 too, honestly. Just judging it on its own, what it
Good,
is.
but not great.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Overall, I really liked it. In literature, there's this concept, and I learned in my English lit days before I had to just focus on one degree. There's this concept called the willing suspension of disbelief. And the idea is the movie or the book makes you so you're willingly able to stay locked in the universe without doing something that kicks you out. So you're willing to suspend your disbelief to say, you know what, those space whales in Star Trek, do they exist? Probably not, but I'm willing to go with it because they built it up in the universe. So in this case, my willing suspension of disbelief was there. They didn't do anything that really contradicted it. I'm willing to accept a level of unrealism, if that's not a word it should be, in my science fiction. I don't need everything to follow the laws of physics, because if you read or write accurate science fiction battle to the degree it would happen, most of it's at long range and very boring. The up close and personal stuff is where it's getting exciting. So you either have to do all of the action on the ground, which this movie gave us plenty of, or you have to give us World War II in space when it comes to the fighter pilots. Or do a little bit of what they did with Babylon 5, where they kind of mixed it up a little bit. But it's hard to balance the keeping it exciting versus being extremely realistic when it comes to space fighting. So for me, I was willing to suspend my disbelief because I wanted the pew-pews and I wanted the action. So I give this one probably an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Not perfect, but I really loved it. Watch it again. Not enough that I'm going to pay $44 to buy a physical copy of it on Amazon, but $5 to buy the digital rights to watch it again on Amazon Prime.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm there. All right. So with that out of the way, dear listeners, so far we are shorter than the movie, so we're winning. This is where I remind you to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers and viewers and listeners find the right products, books, movies, and television shows. So do your part. It really does matter, except for LaVoice when he disagrees with me. Then he can shut the hell up.
Hey, be nice.
He knows.
Guys, it's been great being on the show all these times. And,
Yeah. We're going to miss you.
So with that out of the way, I'm just going to go round robin, and we're going to start with Mr. Biggs because he's the guest. So how can listeners and viewers check you out if they want to check out the Big Water Outdoors?
You can look me up on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube with the same name if you want to watch. We go around Southern California kayak fishing for spotted bay bass or largemouth bass in the lakes. Swing by, say hi, and enjoy the ride.
So have you ever had like wakes from bigger boats mess you up when you're out there on your kayak?
Yes, actually, a video that I dropped 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was fishing out over by the Coronado Bridge, and Navy SEALs are down there, and they were doing their training, and they came really close and put water over the front of my boat. And then about an hour and a half later, I had some jet skiers try and kill me. So there's that on that video.
Okay.
All right, we will link to all that so you can check that out, dear listener. And since you are not an author, but you are an avid reader, what are you reading at the moment? And then we'll move on.
Right now, I am reading. Let me pull up so I get the title right. King Sorrow by Joe Hill. I'm about halfway through that.
Are you enjoying it?
So far, it's so good. I've got a whole bunch of books I gotta get through, but yeah, I really enjoy it. He writes like his dad, but is still different enough that he doesn't feel like you're reading a Stephen King book.
Okay.
Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, one of them.
I was about to ask, who's his dad?
Yeah.
But he chose a different name so he wouldn't get the automatic recognition from Stephen King, so he could be his own person. And he makes callbacks to his dad's books, but it doesn't sound like I'm reading Stephen King. Like if you read Richard Bachman and read Stephen King, they're the same. Like this doesn't feel the same.
Okay. So we'll know whether he writes like his dad when we can see if he ends the book well, because Stephen King can't know.
I've read a few Joe Hills before. He does end the books better.
Oh, there you go. So he's not his dad. All right.
Definitely not his dad.
LaVoice, where might we stalk you on the wild, wild interwebs?
Or you can always find me over at michaellavoice.com. That's where you can send all the hate mail to, by the way, michaellavoice.com. Since this will be my last show, I appreciate it's been fun. Yeah, I'm working on Sarcon Book 2 still with Peter Stanley, and soon to start a series with Kevin Steverson called The Blackmailed Marine.
Are you still doing the LaVoice in your head short videos where you're doing book reviews, movie reviews, that sort of thing?
I do. Well, in the last month or so, I've been focused on. I am part of an anthology called Ruins. It's a space opera anthology. There's 13 stories in the anthology. It's edited by M.G. Herron, author of the Gun Files. And I've been doing videos to profile each of the authors featured in the anthology, and one video that talks about the anthology in general. The Kickstarter goes live. It went live February 16th. And we're really excited about it. There's some really cool swag that you can get at different tier levels, to include a gorgeous gold foil hardback edition of the anthology that I cannot wait to put on my shelf. And so I've been really pushing that. But things are heating up over with Henry Cavill at Highlander, so I need to go rail against the darkness again. So I'll be doing more pop culture videos very soon.
Cool.
All right. Melissa, where might we find you in the wild, wild interwebs?
You can find me at my website, which is melissamcshannewrites.com, and my storefront where I sell print books, ebooks, and audiobooks at nightharborpress.com. I am on Twitter X which I have to say because my kids razz me when I say just X. Anyway, they have a problem with that. But I am M. McShane Writes there, and I have a Facebook group that I'm not at very frequently, but we'll see what happens. And I'm currently working on a new urban fantasy series with a detective and his griffin partner. I will call it Spencer for Hire if Avery Books was a griffin. And if you don't know what Spencer for Hire is, go look it up because you will not be disappointed.
Good to know. Any truth to the rumor that you're going to come back to the War Master universe with more series spawning off from the completed original?
Yes, that would be the plan. I don't write more than one thing at a time. So right now I'm focusing on the one series. I have another series that I'm going to bring to a close sometime the end of this year. And then the War Master spin-off series. I don't have a schedule. I don't schedule myself very well for that. It really depends on what is inspiring me, and we'll see. But the War Master spin-off series features the next generation of adventurers and dragons.
Nice. All right. And last but certainly not least, we got Miss Jenna S. Brown, who sometimes cosplays as Jenna Ray.
Yep, you can find me over at Linktree, linktr.ee/Opal Kingdom Press, or you can go direct to the press at www.opalkingdompress.com, where myself, my many personalities, and a few other people hang out. And I can be found all over the internet under Jana S. Brown or Jenna Ray. If you find either one of those and it's related to publishing, it is almost always 99.972% of the time me. So I'm easy to find. My son despairs of me, but I'm easy to find. And what I'm working on, JR and I are still chugging along on the reboot books. Hopefully we're going to be able to get the first one of those to a closing point here soon. That would be nice. And then we have other plans in those series. And I am working on the Diana McDonough books. Diana McDonough is a poor police officer who is possessed by a law spirit down in New Orleans and fights all sorts of things and gets into sorts of troubles. And she's been in lots of short stories. And so now we're getting books for her. So lots of stuff.
It's Nolans. Nolans.
Yeah, I know it's Nolans.
Say it with me. Nolans.
Nolans.
I got in trouble the last time I did that because I did not know what it meant. So I had been told I had to enunciate that it's New Orleans, even though it is not. It's Nolans, and it's Nawlins. But
yes,
yeah,
that's right.
I spend a lot of time
there.
listening to YouTube videos on the words that they use and the order
Yes.
thereof, and then you put it in, and then you get people who come back and they say, "Do you know this is not grammatically correct?" I'm like, "Go visit for a little bit. Nothing's grammatically correct.
It's the South, people. It's the
It's
South.
just not. It's fasha because that's just the way it is." So moving right along.
Yeah, you can tell who's a local to a place and not by how they pronounce the local names.
It's true.
Tula.
Like Norfolk or Norfolk or North, and then it sounds like they're saying the F word. Like you can tell who's from here and who's not.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So
I refer you to Robin Williams and his discussion of the Falkland Island War.
Yes. All right,
Indeed.
JR, take us out because we're almost as long as the movie.
No. We've got 18 more minutes before we're there, and we are not going to last that long. All right, and you can find us, dear listener, on our Linktree, linktr.ee, Linktree/Blasters and Blaze Podcast. Again, Linktree/Blasters and Blaze Podcast, where we link to all the things, the BitChute, the Rumble, the YouTube, the TikTok, the Twitters. We've got our Spotify, our Discord, our Blasters and Blaze Facebook group and Facebook page. You can email the show at blastersandblazepodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandblazepodcast@gmail.com. For professional purposes only, people say the shenanigans from Stabby over there on the Instagram, the Twitter, or the email. Or you can send the shenanigans over there to Michael LaVoice at LaVoice in your head. Links in the show notes. You can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/author Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author Handley. Be sure to put in the comment section this for the podcast, and I promise I will keep my co-hosts duly caffeinated. They will drink that coffee brand coffee until they get high on their own supply. If you want some of that coffee brand coffee, the link is in the show notes. The discount code is Podcast Grunts. You get 10% off. We get a little bit of a kickback. It's a win-win, people. And with that, I would like to thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters Blades Podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. And with that, we're going to hit the end button, people. Wait for it. Wait for